welcome to Medicine for the Soul Yoga. My name's Kat and this is part 23 of our Journey to Crow Pose series. So this class is going to be a Pilates inspired kind of conditioning class. We're getting now to the point where we're practicing quite advanced transitions from jumping back into chaturanga or low plank, which requires quite a lot of upper body strength and core strength. So this class is going to be a conditioning class. We're not going to practice crow pose or the transition, we're just going to be building strength, and it'll be a really good class that you can repeat and keep building up your strength if that's something that's holding you back. So I hope you're ready. I've got my fringe clipped back. It's going to be a bit of a tough one, but yeah, one that you can definitely repeat, so don't worry where you're at the moment. All right, hope you enjoy. Okay, so we're going to start on our backs today. We're going to focus a bit on the core, we'll do a little bit on the glutes and then the upper body. So we're going to be moving quite slowly but really focusing on mind to muscle engagement. So to begin with, we'll just heel toe the feet out to the edges of the mat and let the knees fall towards each other. Placing the hands underneath the belly button. Often when our hands are placed like this, the shoulder blades can kind of curl up and round and close off the chest. So we just want to encourage the shoulder blades to melt and release. So just release any tension that you're holding in the shoulders and let them completely relax. And we'll just bring our awareness to the breath, closing down the eyes and going inward. Can you feel the breath landing in the hands, or is the breath quite shallow today? And just notice that without any judgment at all. And if you can, manipulating the breath to travel right into the hands, engaging that deep belly breath. And with our legs in this position, feeling the lower back really pushing against the mat, really supported onto the ground. And this is the feeling that we want to keep when we practice the next couple of exercises we're going to do. We need the lower back to be really engaged onto the mat. And this ensures we're using our core and we're protecting our lower back. And a few more deep breaths, in and out through the nose, relaxing the shoulders, relax the face. Good, and then we'll gently open the eyes and separate out the knees and heel toe the feet into the centre. We'll just let both the knees fall to the right and look over the left shoulder. Really pop that left hip forward and up. So really stretching out the side body, look over the left shoulder. Gently come back to centre. Exhale over to the left, look over the right shoulder. A few deep breaths here and gently come back to centre, really good. We're going to do that again with our arms in cactus position. So bring the arms out wide, 45-degree angle, palms facing up. And we're just going to use the core to move the knees from side to side. So we'll move the knees to this side, squeeze the core, bring them back up to centre and move them to the left. Try to keep the shoulder blades on the mat. We're engaging the core, so that muscle to mind connection. We want to switch on the core here, so we really want to be squeezing the belly button into the spine. Good. We're now going to come to the centre and we're going to lift the feet up. So we want the knees to be directly over the hips, legs at a right angle, toes are pointed. And we're going to do the same. Moving the knees to the right. The shoulder blade can come up slightly, that's fine. Push down on the right elbow to draw yourself up to centre, but we're also squeezing the core in. Let the knees come to the left. Squeeze the core, lift yourself back to centre. There's a nice little massage for the lower back as well. We're going to do it one more time. We're just beginning to warm up, loosen out the spine and begin to activate the core. Over to the left, really good. Coming up to centre, perfect. We'll squeeze the knees into the chest and then let them come out over the hips. Squeeze them in and then lengthen out long. And just keep moving in this way. Squeeze the belly button into the spine. You might already feel your core really waking up here. Keep the toes pointed. Maybe lengthen the legs a tiny bit longer if you feel comfortable and if your lower back stays on the mat. Maybe you can even straighten the legs. Squeeze the knees in. Good. Keep breathing deeply through the nose. Last time, squeeze the knees in. Good. This time we'll wrap the arms around the legs, hug them into the chest, draw the forehead up to the knees and gently rock side to side. Big deep breath through the nose. Good, and release the head down onto the mat. So we're going to again have the knees over the hips. How we had earlier, that connection with the lower back, really important here. We don't want the back to be arching and you can put your hand underneath the back. We want to have a complete connection with the mat so you couldn't get anything underneath there. If you find that the back begins to arch, bring it back a level and draw the knees slightly closer to the body. If you can, have the knees over the hips. And we're going to do little toe taps down to the mat now. So we're going to exhale down, toe tap, and inhale, squeeze up. Exhale down, inhale, squeeze up, knees over hips. Exhale down, good. Inhale, squeeze up. If you find you could maybe go a bit harder, tap slightly further away, but again, make sure the lower back stays in contact with the mat. Exhale down. If you feel any pain in the lower back, just bring it back a level, maybe even just holding the legs here is enough. We're going to do one more, good, and then gently squeeze the knees in. This time, head stays on the mat, and we're going to make big circles with the knees, so just giving the lower back a little release. Big deep breaths through the nose. Really good. You can maybe bring the knees out wide, open out the hips slightly. Perfect. So we're going to work a little bit with the lower core. This is going to be really helpful to build up strength here when shooting the legs back to keep the hips lifted and keep control in that movement. So I'm going to bring the hands either side of the body, palms facing down. These can help support you, and point the toes up to the sky. Ankles could be over hips. Breathing deeply again, making sure you're pushing the lower back into the mat, squeezing the belly button into the spine. This time we're going to slightly push down on the hands and lift the hips up and then lower them down. Option to then finish the movement with what we just did, tapping the feet on the mat. Straighten the legs, lift up, lower down, bend the legs, tap. Good. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up. Flow with the breath, exhale down. You should really feel this across the whole length of the spine. Inhale up. Use the hands to help you as well. Squeeze the belly button in. Inhale up. Good. We're going to do 3 more. Take rest wherever you need, of course. Good. 2. And 1. Good. Last time. Perfect, and then again, hug the knees in. Give yourself a little release in any way that you feel you need. Big deep breath through the nose. And then placing the feet on the mat. We want the feet to be as close to the body as possible, so maybe you can touch the back of the heels with the fingers, maybe kind of inch them closer if you can. And we really want to squeeze the knees in, and this is what's going to engage the glutes. So we're just going to do a little bit of bridge pose for the glutes, and it also is a nice release kind of counter pose to stretch out the core. So we're going to use our hands again, the same position as they were in before, palms facing down. As we inhale, we're going to drive, pushing into the heels and squeeze the glutes. Lift the hips up, squeeze the knees together and lift the hands over the head. Chest comes towards chin. We really squeeze the glutes and lift the hips as high as we can. Big inhale and exhale, release down. Good. Inhale up. Feel the lovely stretch in the core as well here, and exhale down. Inhale up. Good. Exhale down. 5 more. Use the breath, focus on the breath. 3. Good. 2. Hug the knees together. And last one, you should feel it in the glutes, holding here on our last one. And then we're going to just pulse the knees out wide, Lift the hips as high as you can. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then roll really gently down the back. Really, really good. Folding the lower back onto the mat. And just release the knees out side to side like a windscreen wiper. Just release out. Big deep breaths through the nose. Good. And then we'll just heel toe the feet in together this time. Let the soles of the feet touch and just let the knees come out wide. Maybe rocking gently side to side feels good here. And just take a moment here. We can bring the hands back onto the tummy. And just take a few deep breaths here. Again, relax the shoulders. A few conscious deep belly breaths. Really good. We'll use the hands to draw the knees together. And we're going to do a few rock and rolls. And we're going to eventually land in boat pose. So to begin with, we can just hold over the knees and rock forward and back. Let the feet flip back if that feels okay for you. Keep the chin quite tucked in. Good. Next time we come up, we're going to hold ourselves in boat pose. So don't worry if you overshot yourself or didn't quite make it. Absolutely just try again. Holding the hands over the knees or even behind the thighs works as well. Squeeze in the core. Find that balance point. If you found that quite easy, try without the hands. Roll back and find boat pose without the hands. Don't worry if you wobble again, you can try again. And then we're going to hold boat pose here. So keeping the chest lifting, we really want the spine to be straight. We don't want to be collapsing back. So rolling back the shoulders, hugging the elbows in, palms facing up to open the chest. Point the toes. Squeeze in the core. This is such a good one for the hip flexors and the core as well. Don't forget to breathe. Maybe even straightening the legs if you feel comfortable. Feet should be about eye level. One more big inhale and exhale. Draw the knees in. Release the lower back by reaching the arms around the knees, drawing the chin to the chest. Maybe rolling the forehead gently side to side. Good. We're going to come into boat pose one more time, rolling the shoulders and lifting the feet. So this is one of the best poses, in my opinion, to build strength for some more advanced yoga poses. The hip flexors and the core are really vital in a lot of arm balances, including crow pose. So doing this, maybe timing yourself to really help build up the strength over time. One more big inhale. Good. Exhale, crossing the legs. And we'll just release out the lower back. So with the legs crossed, gently forward fold and fingertips on the mat quite wide. Just gently let yourself sway side to side. Big deep breaths through the nose. Good. And then we'll come up to sitting. And we're going to dive the hands forward and we're going to try and hop back to plank. If that's not going to happen for you, then we can just lift the hips and step back. But give it a go. Maybe give it a go more than once if you would like. Just roll out the wrists first if you'd like as well, before we put weight on the wrists. And we can lean forward and hop the legs back. Give it another go if you would like. Otherwise, we're going to meet in plank. Another amazing pose for building strength. Lifting up the kneecaps. We're going to hold here for 30 seconds. So from now, focus on the breath. Make sure the shoulders are over the wrists. Make sure the belly button is squeezing into the spine. Kneecaps are lifting. We're really pushing out the hands, almost rounding the top of the shoulders, the back of the shoulders. Focus on the breath. Look at one point on the mat. Your drishti, your gaze can be there, help you focus. Don't worry if you're shaking. Good, and then release the knees, come back to child's pose. Forehead on the mat, and just gently rock the forehead side to side. Take a few moments here to bring yourself back to the breath, and then we'll gently roll up. And we're going to do a little bit of work for the upper body. So for the arms, the triceps, for our chaturanga. So we'll come into a supported plank. So that's with the knees on the mat. Just make sure the knees aren't too underneath the hips. This will make it a lot harder for you to bring the chest down. We need the knees to be quite far back so that the hips are already lower and the hips are in line with the shoulders and with the knees. So we're kind of making a plank, but it's with the shoulders, hips and knees instead of the shoulders, hips and feet. So we can look forward, we keep the chest lifting always. We're going to do a few little tricep push-ups. So we don't want to just be bringing the chest down, that's going to make it harder. We want to be bringing the hips down as well, so keeping in that plank. So squeeze in the core. As we exhale, we lower down, hug the elbows in, and inhale, squeeze up. If you can't make it all the way down and up, don't worry, just come to where you can, or even just holding here with the arms slightly bent is good as well. Exhale down, inhale, push up. Squeeze the core, keep your plank really solid. This is a really tough one. Focus on the breath, just do what you can. Especially if this is your first time with this class, it's something that you can build up over time. So maybe count how many of these you can do, and next time you can aim to do one more. I'm going to do one more now. And then reaching all the way up and back to child's pose, really good. Release the arms, release the shoulders. Good. So we're going to come into dolphin pose now, which we have also practiced before and is such a good one for building strength in the arms. It's going to be our last little bit of effort before we have a nice stretch. So not much longer to go if you're feeling a bit tired. So we're going to come into dolphin pose by bringing the forearms on the mat, the fingers spread wide and the elbows gently hugging in. And we're going to tuck the toes and lift up the hips. We want to roll the shoulders blades away from the ears, so almost feel the shoulder blades wrapping around behind your back and meeting there. Heels will probably be lifted off the mat, that's absolutely fine. Now this pose is challenging. For some people this might just be enough. And absolutely stay here if that's the case. Otherwise we can do some dolphin push-ups. We're going to roll onto our big toe and bring the forehead forward, squeeze the core and exhale back. Inhale, roll forward, exhale back. So we really feel this in the core and also in the back of the arms. Use the breath. Walk the feet slightly forward if you can. Make it slightly harder, allowing yourself to come a little bit further forward. Inhale. One more if you're moving with me, doing really well. And exhale, release the knees. Very gently sit back on the heels. Take a big deep breath here. Really good. Gently we will lift the forehead up and walk the hands back. So we're going to come into plank one more time. This time we're going to try and hold it for a minute. I'll tell you when we get to 30 seconds, so if that's what you're aiming for, then you know that you've got there. If you want to try for a minute, absolutely try, and you can build it up each time. So we're going to come into plank with the fingers spread on our hands. Find your position, and we'll go for a minute from now. Focus on the breath. Push the shoulder blades away with the hands. Shoulders over wrists, kneecaps lifting. Squeeze the belly button into the spine. And the breath is really key here, so make sure we're breathing in and out through the nose. Know that you are really strong, and half the battle is your mindset. And just know that you can do this, don't give up. Making sure the hips are not sticking up too much. We want to engage the core. Big, strong breaths in and out through the nose, helping oxygenate your muscles. And release. Really, really good. Wherever you got to there, make a little mental note of that place and know that next time you could maybe add on 2, 5, 10 seconds, whatever it is, building up slowly. We'll come onto our hands and knees and we'll exhale round the back. Inhale, arch and roll the shoulders, lift the head. Exhale, rolling and rounding the back. Inhale, arching, roll the shoulders, lift the head. Good, exhale, rounding. Come to neutral spine. We're going to walk the hands forward, melt the chest down, come into puppy pose. Forehead could rest on the mat. We find length in the spine. We really want to crawl the fingers forward whilst keeping the hips over the knees. And take a few conscious deep belly breaths here. Good. We're going to roll ourselves forward and dip the hips down and just come into a back bend that feels good for you. So it could be a really gentle one, could be cobra, baby cobra or full cobra, and really the focus here is on lengthening the core. So you should feel a lovely stretch in the core and any little movements here that help you feel that stretch and that release. You can practice them now. Maybe you want to come into upward facing dog to really allow yourself a bit more of a stretch. You can gently pulse forward and back. Big deep breaths through the nose. Good. And then gently we will shift the hips back to our wide leg child's pose. Good. And then gently come up and bring the knees forward. We'll sit down on the mat. Bring the feet forward, hip width apart. Hands either side of the hips. We'll let the knees again sway side to side. Let the knees open a bit in the middle. So bring one knee first. Have that moment of opening the hips and then let the other knee follow. So it's a lovely stretch for a lot of the body. Focus on slowing down the breath. Good. And then we will come to the center. And we're just going to roll really, really slowly down the back. Have the arms out, palms facing up. Draw the chin in. And really slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, come down. Squeeze the belly button into the spine. Keep the feet on the mat. So slowly. Really good, all the way back, head onto the mat. As we inhale, we're going to reach the hands over the head and lengthen the legs out long. Give your body a big stretch. And as we exhale, we're going to take hold of the left wrist and lift up the head and the shoulders and draw the left wrist over to the right. Both shoulder blades are still on the mat. We're going to walk the feet over to the right. Maybe even cross the left leg over the right. Again, both hip bones are still on the mat facing up. We've just made this kind of banana shape with the body, and we're feeling this lovely lengthening of the whole left side body. Into the core, into the shoulders, and into the hip as well. Big inhale, big exhale, maybe a slightly bigger banana shape, and then release back to center. Good. Inhale, reaching the arms and legs out long. Exhale, hold the right wrist with the left hand, and then we'll move slightly over to the left and really draw the right arm over by pulling on it with the left hand. We feel that into the shoulder and into the core. Walk the feet over to the left, and right leg can cross over the left. Keep both hip bones level on the mat. You can close down the eyes. Big deep breath through the nose. Good, and then gently we can come back to the center, and we'll draw both knees into the chest. Open the knees out wide, flex the feet. We'll come into happy baby to release the inside of the hips. So holding onto the shins, the ankles, or the outside edges of the feet, we can gently rock side to side. Big deep breath through the nose. Good, and then releasing the feet down. Final little spinal twist here. Over to the right, look over the left shoulder. And then over to the left, look over the right shoulder. And releasing into the lower back. Good. Final little counter pose we'll do. Hands either side of the hips. And we'll come straight into plow pose. You can choose to keep the legs straight and maybe the feet could touch the ground. Maybe they stay in the air, that's fine. Or you can bend the legs. Place the hands on the hips for support. And feel that lovely lengthening of the lower back. Focus on the breath. And then we'll gently roll down the back, all the way down. If you'd like a final little thing for the core, we can very slowly let the legs come down to the mat. Bend the legs if you need to. We keep the lower back on the ground. And we come all the way down. Really good. And then we find our Shavasana. Palms are facing up. Any final movements you need here, any little wiggles or stretches, and then committing to stillness and meditation. Yoga is moving meditation, the asana, the movement part of yoga, and this is still meditation, which can be more challenging. As the body slows down, the mind can start to take over and pick up again. So we just want to try to keep the same mindfulness as we had when we're moving. Keep the mind present. And a way we can do this is by focusing on the breath. In and out through the nose. Noticing where there's any tension in the body you could let go of. And find the body heavier and more relaxed with every exhale. And lying here for as long as you need to today, being really proud of your commitment to building up your strength. Thank you for joining me today.